Hey everybody, this is Putt Putt King, and I'm back to give you another story time this week. And for this week's story time, well, if you saw last week's story time, you'll know that I had a crush and asked them to the seventh grade dance, and how they said yes, and then how they changed their mind, and how it left me devastated. That was my crush in seventh grade. This week is going to be the crush in eighth grade. It all started out when we were in our last period class one day. It was a very small class, just only a few people. And we talked about, who we liked and everything. And then I told them, somebody in seventh grade who it was when I was in eighth grade. And they guessed and they said, what's the first name? Gave him to him. And then they got it right on the first guess. And then of course the music teacher, he's like, hey, she left her lunchbox in here, why don't you go give it to her? So I went and gave it to her. I was nervous about it at first, and they're just like, go give it to her. So I went to go give it to her, and then she was like, oh, thank you, I've been looking all over for this, I don't know where it was. And then of course the three girls that were watching it clapped for me. And then again, the second day, I remember it was just, it was a little, I didn't mind that and everything, but I remember the second day I said hey to her, and then, I think she just kind of, laughed a little bit, with a couple of her friends and said hey. And then they, one of the dancers were coming up, and one of the girls were asking, that they said, do you want me to ask for you? And I said, please, if you would. So they go and ask her for me, and then they're like, she said no. And after I found out about that, had an after school class, so I hold it in, the most of the time, it's okay, I can hold it in until everyone leaves, and then I just start bursting out and crying in the bathroom. And I also heard that, she might have said something like, that she thought I was a really sweet and great guy. She just didn't know me well enough yet to take to for me to for her to accept me to take her to a dance. So I figured, just keep talking. There were some successful days where I got to talk to her after school. There were some days where I did not get to talk to her after school. I remember sometimes I would tell the class I'm talking to about, the teacher, because he's kind of, into it as well, likes to, harass about make fun about who you like and everything. Well, he had her in class one day, and he held her back a little bit, so she could talk to me. Then of course, after a few minutes, we talk. So it's nice. I finally got to talk to her a little bit, and well, the spring break's coming up. So what do? I tell her, have a fun spring break and everything, but I will miss talking to her. And then, she's like, thank you. And I asked if it was all right, if I called her, and she's like, yeah, you can call me if you want. That's fine. And I keep calling her, but I'm never getting any response. And then, lo and behold, when we're driving by her house, when I'm out with my family, and we're just happen to be driving by her house at night, the lights are off. All the lights are off. It's like nobody's home. It's like did she go on vacation and not decide to tell me, or neglect to tell me? I tried calling her every day, spring break, didn't get any luck. Did not get any luck with her. So, it, so I had to wait until school started back, And after those 2 weeks in spring break and school started back, well, kind of just, there was a couple days, first couple days I didn't, talk to her. And a lot of the time I didn't talk to her is because I said sometimes there's some other guys around her, and she's like, oh, don't worry about that, don't worry about that. And so I try to do it with this one guy always around her. And of course, he's not showing any jealousy or anything. But I also found out from one of my friends that I took the class with. She said that okay, well, she told me that she's already going out with that one other guy. And she's like, don't you think, and she said, don't you think you should tell him, as in me? And according to her, she said, oh, I'll tell him if I feel it's important enough to. So apparently she did not feel it was important enough to tell me. So I still take some stuff, like I talked to her about it, and then I talked to her about what the girl said, and then she's like, well, I don't talk to her very much, so don't really take into consideration what she tells me, because I don't really talk to her that much, even though they were in grades. And also, I said, here's the big part of the finale. I decided that I go buy her some flowers, and then I'm luckily see her the next day before mini break, and I tell her, I think a beautiful girl like you deserves beautiful flowers. And then she's like, oh, thank you, I really appreciate it. And then, well, I go down there and I said, hope you like those beautiful flowers, I said. And she's like, I did. And then that's when I asked, well, I want to ask you sometime. I said, do you want to go to a movie sometime? And then she's like, well, this is how it is. You see, I'm actually already dating somebody right now. And then I said, it's the boy that you're always around with, isn't it? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm dating him and everything. She's like, she's like, but I like us being friends and everything, so hopefully we can still be friends. I was like, yeah, we can still be friends. And then, I kind of, just walk away, sort of heartbroken. I said, I really thought, I said, I really was hoping, I could get her, but, that was just not meant to be. And I remember talking about what my friends said and everything, and she's like, yeah, I told you that because I don't like for any of my friends to get hurt. And apparently she did tell me that because she didn't want me to get hurt, but my love instincts, my hormones were saying, go for it anyway, go keep talking to her. But I should have listened to her, and I regret not doing that. And I've seen her, and I've seen her like in high school when she moved on in high school. When we both moved on in high school, I never bothered to ask her out again, but I've stopped to say hello or a couple times to her. Still remain friends, but never developed into a relationship. But that was okay, because at least we were friends. And that was the story of the time about my crush in 8th grade that fell through. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button, hit the red subscribe button so you'll never miss another video. And I'll be back next week with a story time. It's going to be like a special story time because it's going to be about my 1-year anniversary at work. So we're going to go over a little compilations of it next week. Hopefully you can get into that next week. And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you about my crush in my freshman year into the sophomore year. So next week, compilation of 1-year story times that I've told you about my time at work. And then 2 weeks, 9th grade story time crush. So I hope to see you in my lives, my uploads, and my premieres. And I hope you all have a good week, and I will see y'all later. Thanks for coming, everybody, and thanks for watching as well.